Let's go to Chris Mannix. He joins us now on the horn from Sports Illustrated. Chris, how you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Hello, Chris.
You tell me, how come the Celtics are no longer the betting favorite to win the NBA championship?
I mean, I'd still make them the favorite. I think the odds ebb and flow based on kind of what we're seeing from their competition. I mean, the Cavs lost last night, but they're fresh off a 16-game winning streak. That DeAndre Hunter trade, I think, made them measurably better. And Oklahoma City has been in cruise control in the West all season long. So it really it's fluctuating. But I mean, I can tell you that if you talk to people around the league, you know, they still look at the Celtics like they're the giant in the NBA. Like the Cavs and the Thunder are having great seasons. But part of the reason they're winning is because they have some of the best depth in the NBA. You don't need depth in the playoffs. You need 6 or 7 working guys in the playoffs. And I don't think anybody has a better top 7 than Boston.
Chris, what do you think the biggest strike is against the Celtics for the people that don't believe in them?
I don't know. I mean, look, I was actually writing something about Cleveland recently, and I was talking to a lot of people over there. And the one thing they said was, like, look, we've played competitively against Boston for most of the 4 matchups this year, won a couple of them. But we know that we haven't gotten the Celtics' best shot because in some ways the Celtics have been kind of going through the motions in some of these games. It's kind of an expected sort of hangover, you know, in the aftermath of winning a championship. So I think maybe skepticism is that they haven't played as well as they played last year. And there have been teams that have played significantly better than them, you know, during the regular season with Oklahoma City and Cleveland, you know, specifically. So, I mean, you could point to, like, some of Drew Holiday's shooting numbers or, you know, inconsistencies early on with Jaylen Brown. But, like, to me, guys, this is all stuff that gets pretty quickly resolved once the lights are on. I'm just of a full belief that assuming everybody is 100% healthy and ready to go, and we're starting to trend toward that with the Celtics, you know, there's no reason to believe they're not the favorite to win the whole thing again.
How about the past? Is it held against them both? Series that they should have won, whether it be the Miami Heat, whether it be Golden State, they were in control of that series, probably the better team at the end of the day. Is that held against them, or the fact that last year they had such an easy run through it and they, quote unquote, didn't play anybody? Is that stuff held against them?
Yeah, I think it can be held. I don't think the other stuff is held against them. They played Golden State, and yeah, they may have been better and they should have won and all that stuff, but the Warriors were more experienced. Experience mattered in that circumstance. The Miami stuff was a debacle, right? But they recovered from that and made trades that, you know, put them over the top last year. I mean, the 16-3 run in the playoffs last season, you know, everybody looked at it as easy, and I guess it kind of was. I mean, Cleveland wasn't ready, and, you know, Indiana, you know, should they have lost to New York? Fine. But, like, the field isn't great this year either. I mean, Cleveland's going to be tough, like, no question. I mean, the Cavs, I'm telling you, that Hunter deal, they went 13-1 after acquiring DeAndre Hunter. Like, that is a difference maker for them. That allows them to play a smaller lineup where they're just having to play only Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen and not both. That's going to make them more versatile. But, like, does anybody really fear the Knicks at this point? Like, the Pacers are good. The Bucks are okay. Like, it's not like the Eastern Conference field is full of major threats. I mean, I think that Cleveland series is going to be hyper competitive if it gets that far. But other than that, I still don't see the threats to the Celtics.
Okay, what about Oklahoma City? And again, I know I'm jumping to the finals, but I do think the Celtics are the best team in the East. Does Oklahoma City match up well with the Celtics?
Incredibly well, Tony. I mean, they're like, they've got to be what the Celtics fear the most, because they're like the Celtics of the Midwest. Like, over the last few years, they have built out their team kind of in Boston's image, where they've got, like, you know, a whole bunch of guys that can defend multiple positions, right? You got, like, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, you know, a bunch of guys that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a bunch of guys that can defend, like, 3 spots. They've adjusted for their rebounding issues by getting Isaiah Hartenstein. Now they can play 2 bigs. They can play 1 with Chet Holmgren. Like, they're ready too. Like, they haven't had quite the journey the Celtics had over the last 6 years, but, you know, they've had their bumps and bruises along the way. Last year they lost in the second round in 7 games. They learned from that. They got better. They improved by upgrading the roster. Like, that, to me, that's a coin flip series right now, and I wouldn't have said that a year ago.
But still, you said experience matters and talking about the Celtics, and if there is a knock on the Thunder, it's that they haven't made a conference final. They're not playoff battle-tested enough to win the title this year. Do you believe in that narrative, or is there too much being made of that?
No, I believe in it. I do think that there's – I think the question is, did they get enough experience last year, right? And they do have guys that have been around. I mean, Shea's made the playoffs before with Chris Paul, and Lou Dort was the same way when they were in the bubble. They're not super young at some of these key positions, but there's no doubt that experience is a variable in all this. But I was in Oklahoma City a couple of weeks ago, and they believe they've got enough when it comes to that experience. I think the big wild card for them is how does one of their super young guys like Jalen Williams, who's an all-star, had a fantastic year. How does he respond when you have a team like a Boston that's going to do everything possible to shut down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? It's going to load their defense up against a big like Chet Holmgren. He's like their third guy. He's their Porzingis, for the Celtics. Is he ready to respond to that moment? Right now he looks great, but we'll just never know until they get to that finals.
Chris Mannix joining us here on the Celtics. Chris, do the Celtics need Kristaps Porzingis healthy, in your opinion?
100%. They don't beat Cleveland without Porzingis. They don't. One of the conversations I was having recently with the Cleveland people was about Evan Mobley, who's probably the biggest reason the Cavs are a bigger threat to the Celtics this year. And look, Mobley, Kenny Atkinson was talking to me recently about him. Kenny Atkinson compares him to Magic Johnson. That's how bullish he is on the skill set of Evan Mobley. But if you look at some of the numbers this season and even last season, where Mobley's gone up against Porzingis, it has not gone well. And for the Cavs to beat the Celtics, Mobley has to dominate that matchup. If it's a coin flip or a wash of a matchup, the Celtics are going to win that series. But if Mobley can completely control it, that gives the Cavs their best chance to win. If Porzingis is out and you've got to go 5 deep with Horford at starter and Luke Kornet coming off the bench, I think you lose that series to the Cavaliers. They're not a joke this year. I think Porzingis is that valuable.
Wow. And you think Cleveland's more of a threat than OKC, don't you?
I don't know.
You sound like it.
It's more like I'm not sort of thinking about the Thunder until you get through the Cavs, right? They're going to be there. When the Celtics get to the conference finals, I don't think the Cavs will have any problems. Whoever they're going up against, Milwaukee second round, maybe it's New York. I just think they're just a real threat. They took their lumps last year. They lost the Celtics. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell at the end, but they probably would have lost that series anyway. Kenny Atkinson has been just what the doctor ordered. I kind of liken Kenny Atkinson's impact in Cleveland to the impact that Ime Udoka had on his first year in Boston, where the Celtics, they were a good team, going into that 21-22 season, but they needed kind of what Ime brought to the table in terms of toughness and defensive discipline. Well, Kenny Atkinson has kind of brought that on the offensive end. They're the number one rated team in the NBA, I think, still in offensive efficiency. They've kept a pretty sturdy defense going. They're 7th in the league in defensive efficiency. They've improved measurably from the team the Celtics played in the second round last year. And I'm telling you, if Porzingis for some reason isn't healthy, I would favor the Cavs to win that matchup.
Maz has a look on his face.
Because what I was going to ask you, Chris, is do teams around the league or do players around the league think that the Celtics are tough? Do they think that they are? In other words, because I agree, Cleveland looks a lot more aggressive than they did a year ago defensively. And I'm just wondering, and I think they've given the Celtics a good run as a result of it. And I just wonder whether teams still look at the Celtics as being a little soft.
I don't know. I've never heard the word soft. In fact, again, I don't mean to keep going back to it, but the teams that I've talked to that are in the mix in the Eastern Conference, they keep referencing this idea that, the Celtics are kind of going through the motions here, that you're not getting their fastball right now. And look, maybe that's just sort of, pie in the sky thinking there, but that's kind of what they believe. And I don't see any reason to think that the Celtics won't be the team that we saw in the postseason last year. None of these guys have aged out. Al Horford looks like he can play for 3 more years at this level. Holiday's had his issues, but you've still got a month to go to get him all the way right, a month to go to get Porzingis all the way right. No, the answer is no. I don't think that teams look at the Celtics as soft. I don't think they look at them as vulnerable either. Because again, you're not going to need your 8th, 9th, and 10th guys. Like, the Cavaliers. I watched them last night. Like they're playing 10, 11 deep with really quality guys, but that rotation shrinks considerably in the playoffs. You're not going to see some of these guys, playing in the postseason. So, no, I think that teams still look at the Celtics in kind of a reverential way. They still look at them as the team to beat, at least in the Eastern Conference.
Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated, final question. Put you on the spot. Who will be the next owner of the Boston Celtics?
It's such a – I've been sniffing around this for months now, and I did expect this to be more advanced in the process at this point. I'm a little surprised that we're not further down the road with the sale.
And is it obvious they're not getting their number? Like, isn't that?
They're not getting their number. Yeah, well, that's 100% true. And look, Adam Silver is they're having the Board of Governors meeting, next week in New York, and the topic of the day is going to be Minnesota. Like, that's the first domino to fall, and how that all plays out with that ownership. But I've talked to league people about this, talked to Adam Silver about this at times, and they're anxious to get something done with Boston because they want to expand, and they can't expand to Vegas and Seattle until they know the number for the Celtics. Like, they need to know what they're dealing with financially before they can go to expansion. Now, you ask me who I think is the front runner. I still think it's Pagliuca. I still think it's whatever group that he winds up putting together. But Steve is no idiot, right? He's not him, and whoever he has as investors are not going to go above between $5 and $6 billion for a team that doesn't own their own arena. Like, there's a math problem here with the Celtics where, yeah, they're an iconic franchise, but are they worth the money that the Grousbeck family is looking for? So I'm not expecting anything, guys, as an imminent. I don't expect anything the next couple of months, but right now everything that I'm hearing is that wherever they're at, Steve Pagliuca still has a bit of an inside edge.
And do you think things will change no matter who the owner is? In other words, do you think the new owner automatically tries to get his own building? Do you think the new owner trims payroll, that they try and come off of the, they're just in that massive tax, the apron territory? Do you think that's going to change? No matter who it is, do you think there's going to be changes?
I do think whoever the new owner is will want his own building. I don't know what the timeline would be on something like that. They're obviously tied to the TD Garden for, I don't even know what the number of years it is. But ultimately, any new owner is going to want his own building for all the reasons you would understand, the money and having extra revenue coming from that arena. Now, the payroll, that's interesting because I really think the Celtics guys are only protected by championships, right? Like, so if they win a championship this year, whoever buys the team is not going to break it up. You can't break up a team that's won 2 titles. If they win it again next year, you can't break up that team then. But if they fall short, I think that's going to give whoever owns the team license to shave off some of these parts, whether it is a Holiday or a Derek White or somebody of that ilk. You just can't afford. I mean, the numbers are just so big. The tax penalties are so large that the only thing I think protecting this team is probably winning a championship.
Chris, thanks for joining. Well, real quick, because you always would throw on a heavyweight box. The heavyweight boxing thing, Chris. I've lost the string. The Usyk and those fights, they didn't resonate here in the States. I don't even know when weren't they on in the middle of the day, for Pete's sake. And Okay, so you no one's ever heard of the guy. He's apparently amazing, but no one could pick him out of a lineup or pick him out coming down the street. His fights are on in the middle of the afternoon, and now he's the heavyweight champion. Is there any American, where's that division? Because that's the only thing that brings me to the sport. Where is it?
I think heavyweight boxing in America is dead. Ugh. I mean, it is. I mean, Jared Anderson was the name that was coming up the ranks. He got squashed last summer by Martin Bacoli in that fight in Los Angeles. And nobody has stepped forward to take his place. I mean, I couldn't even give you a name of a 20 or a 21-year-old that I think could be on that level in the next 3 or 4 years. I think it's as dead as it's ever been. There isn't even a Deontay Wilder out there who we knew was raw, but
fun
is still fun to watch. Right. Yeah. I think it's dead. And I agree with you. The problem, like Usyk is so good. He actually has an incredible personality that I think would resonate with an American audience. But because all these fights now are taking place in Riyadh, and I've been to a lot of them. I was at his last fight, and I've been covering them over there. They start at 3 in the afternoon in the U.S. on a Saturday, where people are doing stuff. So, look, that's where the money is. That's where guys are going to go. But it's certainly not going to help, grow boxing in America when some of these guys we should be watching are fighting so early in the day.
It's too bad. Chris, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
See you,
Chris.
Chris.
Anytime, guys.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.